Okay, today we're going to begin with lesson 9.4. So let's go with 9.4, and we are going to be classifying triangles. So at the top of your paper, put down classify triangles. Now you can go back and forth on your from your flashcards. You'll have this information also in flashcards, but for right now, let's take and we're going to go through review through the different kinds of triangles. We have acute triangles. If we take a look at a triangle by classifying it by the angles, we have acute triangles, which means that their angles are less than 90. So an example of an acute triangle would be, we have something like this one. So all the angles are less than 90. So we have an acute triangle. We have a right triangle, which means that at least one of the angles is 90 degrees. So a right triangle. And we have an obtuse triangle, which means that it has one obtuse angle. So obtuse triangle, and again it's called obtuse if it has at least one obtuse angle, which is an angle that is more than 90 degrees. Now we can also classify triangles based on their sides. So if we classify it or name it based on the sides, we can give it the name of equilateral. And an equilateral triangle is one that has all of the sides the same. So all the sides are the same length. So equilateral, all the sides are the same length, and it's usually marked like that to let you know that all the sides are the same length. They can also be classified as an isosceles triangle, or named isosceles, and we'll make sure you get the spelling on that one. That's kind of a different word. An isosceles triangle, and that is where at least two sides have the same length. So if we have a triangle like so, and it's usually marked like this, so two sides, you can kind of see the two sides are the same length. Those little marks just let you know that they're equal. It's kind of a standard notation. And then finally, we have a scalene triangle. And a scalene triangle is a triangle that has all the sides are different. All the sides are different lengths. So this might be one length, this might be one length, and that might be one length. And there's usually little marks on there to let you know that. So triangles can be classified by angles, and it can be classified by sides. So if we said we had an equilateral, we could have an acute equilateral triangle, which means that all these angles are less than 90, and they are also the same size and length. So let's go from there. Now let's take and go to, we're going to start our assignment today on page 438. And we're going to be classifying triangles, giving them names, and also identifying different measurements of the angles. So let's start with number one. We're going to matching the triangle with its description, and we're going to use each description one time. So for number one, we want to know what kind of a triangle this is, and we have 6 choices. Letter A, which is acute, B, which is obtuse, C, which is a right triangle, D, equilateral, E, isosceles triangle, and F, a scalene. So number one, they're pointing out we have this triangle that it kind of looks like this. I'm just going to kind of jot it down. You have this in your book, something that looks similar to that. And one of the angles is, I'm going to trade my pen out here because it's running out of ink here. So we have a triangle that kind of looks like this. And it's telling us that this angle is 80 degrees, and this here little tiny triangle is 25 degrees, and this one is 75 degrees. So they're telling us the names of the size of the angles, and so we see that all 3 of those angles have a measurement of less than 90. So that tells us that this is excuse me, letter A, which is equal to an acute triangle. And write that out because it's just good practice for us to get used to and get familiar to the different names of the triangles. Now I'm going to go every other. I'm going to go the odd numbers. You can stop and pause and do number 2, and then we're going to go on to number 3. So number 3 is we're going to have, we have again another triangle. It looks like kind of like this, and it's telling us the angles. And this one here is 100 degrees, and this one is 50 degrees, and this one is 30 degrees. So we take a look, and we're looking at the angles. So we have a 30-degree angle, a 50-degree angle, and a 100-degree angle, which tells us we have one angle that is more than, which is an obtuse angle. It's more than 90. So since we have one angle that's at least more than 90, that's telling us that this is an obtuse triangle. So an obtuse triangle would be letter B, which is obtuse triangle. And you can pause for a moment and do number 4. And number 5 is, we're going to draw a little picture of that one. Number 5, we have, and again, you don't have to draw this because it's in your book, but we have a triangle that has a right angle. So in this case, we have the right angle, which is telling us this is basically a right triangle, which is C, a right triangle. Now number 6, we're going to do problem number 6 here also. That's part of your assignment. Number 6 is we're taking a look at a triangle. It kind of looks like this in the drawing, and it doesn't have any markings, which is kind of confusing, but all the sides, if you look at this triangle, all the sides are different lengths. So if all the sides are different lengths, we have to take a look at our classification by the sides, and if they have all different lengths, that's telling us it's a scalene triangle. So number 6 is equal to a scalene triangle. Okay, I'm going to back up just a moment. Your assignment is to do the even numbers. So you're going to go starting with number 2, and you're going to go all the way down to number 38, the evens, and then you're going to do number 40 to 46 all, and that's your assignment. So let's take and go and write that down. If you need to stop and pause for a moment and write that down. And you're going to have to stop and pause to do the, I'm going to do the odd problems, and so if you need to stop and pause to do the evens in between, that'd be great. So let's go to number 8. I'm going to do number 7, excuse me. Number 7, we have a stamp on the right hand side, and it's kind of a reddish looking stamp. We need to classify that stamp by the angles and its sides. So if you look at your drawing, it looks kind of like this, and it's kind of red. There is a symbol of a right angle, and there is 2 little markings that tell us that those 2 sides are the same length. So if those 2 sides are the same length, that's telling us, first of all, or excuse me, the angle, that's telling us it's a right triangle because of the right angle. And it's also telling us that 2 sides are the same. And since 2 sides are the same, we call that an isosceles triangle. So it is a right isosceles triangle. So we are classifying it by its angle, and we're classifying it by its sides. Both. You don't have to write that part down, but just so you have the information. Number 8, we want to find the value of x. What is x equal to? And I'm going to do a few of the odd even number problems as well once in a while. But we have this triangle, and we know that the measurement of, it's kind of a very good drawing here. The measure of this drawing is 30 degrees. And then we have, up here we have 55 degrees, and we don't know what x is. But we know that all triangles are equal to, if we add all the angles together, they equal 90 degrees. Or excuse me, 180 degrees, that's silly. 180 degrees. So if we have a 55 degree angle, and we have a 30 degree angle, we want to know what that equals so far. It tells us we have 85 degrees. And so we want to know what 85 plus what is equal to 180, because that would be the total of a degrees in a full triangle. So of course, if we take 180 and subtract 85, we of course would get 95 degrees. So our missing angle x is equal to 95 degrees, and you can box your answer in like that. Number 9, we have a triangle that kind of looks kind of like this, kind of long on the bottom, and it's labeled at 81 degrees, and we have 74 degrees, and we have x right here. We don't know what x is. So again, we want to, all triangles add up to, the measurement adds up to 180 degrees. So we have 81 plus 74, which is 155 degrees. And if we take 155, we want 155 plus something is equal to 180, because that's a full triangle. So 180 minus 155, and of course that gives us 25. Okay, so our missing angle x is equal to 25 degrees. And I'll let you guys go ahead and do number 10. You can stop the video if you need some time. And then going on to number 11. Number 11, we want to classify the triangle by the angles. So angles, we take a look, if we, in this case by the angles, we take a look, and there is, in your book, if you take a look, there's a 22 degree angle, there's a 138 degree angle, and there's a 20 degree angle. One of those angles, the 138 degrees, tells us that's an obtuse angle. So this is an obtuse triangle. Number 12, we have a 90 degree angle, a 25 degree angle, and a 65 degree angle. And so that 90 degree angle tells us that this is equal to a right triangle. That's the kind of name or classification we're giving to this triangle. Number 13, we have a 75 degree angle, 35 degree angle, and a 70 degree angle. All of those are less than 90. So since they are all less than 90, this is equal to an acute, it's an acute triangle. All of them, the angles are less than 90. Number 14, we're going to classify this triangle by its sides. So we have a 4-foot side, and we have another 4-foot side, and we have a 6-foot side, and we have this triangle. So we know that there's two sides of the same, so we have an isosceles triangle. Alright, I'm going to let you take and follow the directions as you go, and keep going. The assignment again is to go up to number 38, the evens. And so actually I'm going to bump ahead and do one more problem, number 38. You can just, wherever you're at right now, you can go and do number 38 together. And we're going to explain how we can fill in the missing degrees of or measurements of this drawing. So let's take and draw this out, and we have our drawing kind of looks like this, and we want to fill in the measurement. We want to find the measurements of angle 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7. We know this is 104 degrees. We know this is 38 degrees, and so on. So we want to find, and this is 3, and this is 2, and this is 7, and 6, and 4. Okay? So if we want to find the missing angles, we know that for angle 2 is opposite. So angle 2 is a vertical angle of the 104 degrees. So vertical means opposite of that. So we know that angle 2 is equal to 104 degrees. That's our starting point. And angle 3, we know the angle, since we're going to take our what we know about supplementary angles, if we take these two angles, angle 3 and 38 degrees, that's going to equal 180. So angle 3, so something plus 38 is going to equal 180. So to find that missing number, we're going to, of course, subtract 38. And we get, in this case, 17. So 2, and we get